Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Hart. I'm going to talk to you today about my signature assignment that I did on Skid Row in Los Angeles, California. I recently moved to LA County. I'm from Washington State, and I noticed the tent cities all over the freeways and just tons of people walking around the streets asking for money. Through my community scan, I found that a staggering 1,002,109 children live below the poverty line in Los Angeles County alone. The first step of the human-centered design framework we use for this project is gaining empathy and understanding for the community. This wasn't hard for me because I have a heart that moves when I see people in need. The more I researched the children that inhabit the streets of Los Angeles, the more I was struck by how much I wanted to help them. I want to read a quote from a paper I found about the population of people living in Skid Row. Open quote. It's a Friday evening on Skid Row, and the fierce deprivation that clogs the area's sidewalks during the day has abated somewhat. The sidewalks are now just busy with misery, not overwhelmed by it, as if someone had just cracked a lid on Skid Row and let some of the pressure out, giving it a little breathing room until morning. Once dawn breaks, of course, the poor and destitute who were lucky enough to snag one of the few beds at one of the area's missions for the night will come trickling out onto the streets again, where they will cluster together with their garbage bags and their grocery carts, indeed their entire lives, and wait to start the whole cycle over again. Most are men, most are single, and most probably won't make it out of here. This paper, and this quote specifically, brought the reality of Skid Row into perspective for me and really engaged my heart in this project. The interview that I had to conduct, a friend of mine who lives in Thailand currently, she works for an organization that works with women coming out of human trafficking, and she said some very impactful things about working with people such as those women. She said, open quote, "I hope to love people well, particularly in their mess and their process. My ultimate goal is to love without wavering, even in the face of difficulty and inconsistent results. The individual is always of higher value than their results or progress, though I hope my work will bring them to a place of greater wholeness and capacity for positive change." End quote. As a teacher, I want to love the children that I encounter well, and I don't ever want their progress to be what I can get from them or to be the best thing about them. Within the community of Skid Row, there are so many issues that can be addressed, but I have chosen to focus on education for the children that live there because education is something that I'm really passionate about. I think that education is a major tool that can be used to eradicate poverty in America and all over the world. I think it's important to note that I believe education should be accessible to all children, but again, I care more about the well-being of the child than their educational accomplishments. But part of the project I'm presenting to you, I hope, will bring back some of the children's identity and belief that they are valued and worthy of a good education. In a society where the homeless are looked down upon and forgotten, it is important to remember that they are humans too. One thing that I noted as I researched Skid Row is that there is no lack of resources in the area. There are many nonprofits and different organizations that have come into Skid Row with a desire to help citizens of the area. With that in mind, I wanted to create something new, not something that was already present. And this was by far the most challenging part of the project, and it took a lot of thinking outside the box with my ideas. Initially, my project that I'm going to tell you about was born from a thought about some sort of collaboration between all of the services that already exist in Skid Row. So here's what I came up with: a collaboration resource center located outside but near enough to Skid Row. The center would provide a safe place for kids to escape where they could get homework help or be a part of a class taught by on-site teachers and tutors. They could enjoy a recreation area that would open only at certain times. There would be meals and snacks provided, as well as some sort of area where school supplies and clothing that had been donated would be that they could look through it for whatever they needed. I would also, in the process of thinking about this, I was trying to think of a way that it could be self-sustaining, and one of the major things I thought of would be a community garden. One major thing too that I thought was really important was that they would get transportation at the end of the night when the center closes to a homeless shelter. So this is the stage one, and I started to move into the next phase of the human-centered design and ask people about this idea. I got some feedback about transportation being really important for allowing access to this area for the children and the importance of teaching the children about food and nutrition through the community garden. I continued to research and I found some really similar organizations in the area, but none of them were specifically focused on children. They were focused on families or women in general. Our project, the focus of the Collaboration Resource Center would be access to education and a safe place for them to be outside of their chaotic home life. I decided to improve transportation by bringing kids to the center throughout the day as well as when it closes at night. So the bus would run from back and forth from the center to Skid Row throughout the day, maybe on every few hours or something. And then one of the major challenges that I face that I still haven't found an answer to is the location. There are a lot of neighborhoods in LA that believe in this idea of not in my backyard, and it's sort of essentially the idea that they don't want the homeless population coming into their community for fear of it overtaking the community. So I'm still working on a solution to that problem. One idea that I had was to combine it with one of the missions and shelters that already exist near Skid Row. So in this specific issue and the specific thing that I'm telling you about in my idea, I am an advocate for these children. I play the role of creating awareness for where they are and what their lives are like. And here's what I developed as my professional identity. My purpose in life is to ensure education equality and availability to underprivileged children by using my advocacy and teaching skills. I'm good at motivating and empowering children to pursue their dreams because I believe that they have the potential to do whatever they set their minds to, no matter what their circumstances look like. By ensuring students have access to education, I'm giving them permission to be themselves and pursue what makes their hearts sing. By providing education, I'm giving them a platform to move forward through the confidence that education can bring to an individual. As a viewer, I'm asking you to spread awareness with me. These are children that live on American soil. They're not in another country suffering from poverty because they don't have clean water. They're in America, and they deserve access to a good education despite where their life circumstances may have brought them. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. I hope you guys have a good day.